Okay, so now we're just going to do a brief overview of all the different components in one of these channel strips. Now remember, all of these channel strips are just carbon copies of each other all the way up the desk. So once you learn one channel strip, you know them all. So starting at the very top, okay, here's our meters. So we usually use the large meter for incoming signals so we can monitor the level of that. Going down, this is the volume of the return section, which is usually our output path from logic. This mic line section is the one we'll be dealing with the most, and there's a couple of things that are useful to know here. This is our gain, so this is how we amplify using the preamp any mic or line signal that's coming in. This is our phantom power, our 48 volts. This is what we'll be using for condenser mics or for active DI boxes. And this is our phase invert switch. You might not know what that does now, but if you check out our video on phase, or if you ask one of your lecturers about phase, when you need to flip the phase, that's the button you'll be pressing. And then we have a low pass filter for taking out sort of unwanted low frequencies from our signal right at the top. Moving down then to the bus section here, all these numbers. Each one of these buttons corresponds to a pathway out of the desk and into our DAW. So if we have 4 channels set up in Logic and we have their input set to be 1, 2, 3, and 4, then we would set channel 1 to be 1, channel 2 to be 2, channel 3 to be 3, and so on and so forth. So the button that you press here corresponds to the input in your DAW that you want to record. Coming down now, we have our auxiliary section. We don't use this as much anymore since we got the new headphone system, but this is used to basically make copies of whatever's in this channel and allow us to send it to multiple places. So we have 12 auxiliaries, 6, and then you can press these buttons to get to the next bank of 6, which means we can make 12 copies of what's in channel 1 and send it to 12 other places if we want. Like I said, it's not used so much since we got the new headphone system. Coming down then, we have an EQ section. I'm not going to talk about this too much now. It's there and it's there for to be used, but we'll cover this topic in a later video. Down to the dark grey section with the short black faders. This is the section that we'll be using to send the signal in any individual channel into Logic. So if I have a guitar signal in channel 1 and I want to send it to Logic, this fader determines how much of that signal is being sent into our DAW. Normally this is left at 0. These mix buttons that you see the whole way across send whatever is in this channel to the master fader in order to listen to it. Now, depending on how you set this desk up, or depending on how you're taught to set this desk up, you might use the mix button on the input path so you can hear your microphones before they get to Logic, or you might use the mix buttons on the return path. So these longer white faders are for the return path, so the outputs of Logic. So you will normally use these in stereo pairs. So in Logic, the main output is called stereo out, which means 1 and 2. So to hear anything from 1 and 2, you turn up 1 and 2. You'll also want these panned left and right, so you get it in stereo, and you'll want to press the mix buttons to send whatever's here to the master fader. Without pressing these buttons, this doesn't go anywhere. The desk doesn't know where to send it, and therefore doesn't go anywhere. The mix button sends it all the way over to our master fader. Last but not least, we have our solo and cut buttons. So the cut buttons are essentially mute buttons, so they'll stop all audio coming through this channel and sending it to wherever it's going. If you've got multiple channels running, solo will play back only those channels and none of the rest. Over here now at the master section, and there's an awful lot of knobs and buttons here, and I would say most of them for now you don't need to know what they do. A lot of them are going to be for more advanced functionality of the desk, but the few things that you are going to want to know how to do are use your master fader. So your master fader is the volume of all of these channels added together to send out to the speakers. Normally you'll want that all the way up. Over here, you have the main monitor section, which is like a master volume for the monitors themselves. So you'll want to turn that up in order to be able to hear what's coming out of the speakers. If you don't have one of these two turned up, you're not going to hear anything, so make sure both of them are turned up. Your master fader and your main volume control. These other speakers volumes are for the other sets of speakers, so we only have 2 sets. The main is our Atoms. If you press Alt 1, This then becomes the speaker level for the Genelec speakers that we also have. Last but not least, over here, we have the Talkback section. Okay, and now these have been used so much that they've been worn off. But basically, there's a microphone, as you can see here on the desk. This button will send that microphone to the speaker that's built into the ceiling of the live room. This will send that microphone to any headphones that you have connected in the live room. So you'll use these for talking to your performers. Normally you'll use this one before you set up your headphones, and this one after you've set up your headphones. And then this is the level of that microphone, so how much of that microphone is being sent either to the speaker in the live room or to the headphones that are set up in the live room.